All right, let's get into this pack. I think Tam is not very good. Now, it is a good first pick because it's unlike most of the Eclipse cards and stuff that can only go in one deck. This card can go in like almost any deck, right? It's good in any blue deck, any green deck, and it's a solid playable. However, I do not think this is first pick quality. I think it is like a fine 2-drop to protect your lords. As I said, it's more of a Prince format than a Pauper one. So I'm kind of happy to first pick it because I can play it in like any deck but goblins, but it's not nearly as good as it looks as a fancy legend. Seer and Eclipse Elf and Noggle are all other cards I would consider. I wouldn't look at any of the commons. I don't think the commons in this pack are very good. Eclipsed Elf is certainly better in Elves than Tam, but it is only playable in Elves. Same thing with Seer and red decks, but it's only playable in 2 decks. So I'm going to take Tam because it means I can draft any any deck that's either blue or green and have it be a good card. I definitely wouldn't begrudge somebody for taking Eclipse Elf, but, Elves is only one of the tribes. We don't know if we're going to see Elves. And if we do, we're still going to go Elves. Hey, thanks for the donation, Saul. I didn't see that in time, or I might have slammed Eclipse Elf like you're suggesting for it. But no, I definitely think Eclipse Elf was the best non-Tam card and the best card in the pack. Again, Eclipse Elf is much better in Elves than Tam is. But so I think that's a first pick between Eclipse Elf or Tam. Tam for its flexibility, see what you see in the second pack. Eclipse Elf for its power. Eclipse Elf is just a really good card. So here, I think we want Bogslither's Embrace, probably. I mean, I would prefer to play... Well, then I'm going to have to go black-green to use both cards. Maybe a Dundaloon Weaver or Pitiless Fist is better. I don't know. Maybe Pitiless Fist is better. It's probably only a little bit worse. I'm just going to end up going Elves and having missed the Eclipse Elf and created another Elf player. But, I could have drafted Elementals, Merfolk, Kithkin. We didn't know what was going to be in these packs, right? I couldn't predict that the second pack was going to have Pitiless Fists, and then the third pack, the best cards were going to be Nameless, Pitiless Fists and Embrace, and then the next pack was going to have Nameless Inversion, Embrace, and Dignitary. Elves is the best tribe. You expect the people around you are going to draft it, right? Okay, so... Now we kind of have to make a choice. I think the right pick is probably Nameless Inversion. I think that's the best card. And now there's Creekwood Safe, right? Do people just not draft Elves anymore? I don't want to I don't want to force Elves, but it does seem like it's open. I mean, I probably created one Elf player with Dignitary and whatever, so I won't table every Elf, but... It does just seem like Elves is open. I mean, I got past a 4th pick Creekwood Safe Right, 5th pick Brawler. There is also a Cinder Strike, so maybe Elementals will be open in this seed as well. I don't even like Elves more than the other tribes. I think it's the deepest. But I'm a big fan of Merfolk and Elementals too. But I mean, Elves. If you're going to be the only Elf player, that's ridiculous. If there's going to be 2, it's still the deepest. Here, I think it's pretty easy. Assert Perfection. I mean, it looks like we're going to have a normal Elf deck this time and not the most busted one of all time. But it does seem like Elves is what's open. I don't love Nightmare Sower, but if you end up with a lot of instants, you play it. That's a very late Graveshifter. The Graveshifter is a lot better than Gravedigger in most formats. Being a Changeling has value. Most of the Changelings are not very good cards, in terms of if they weren't a Changeling. So, when you throw Changeling on a card that is good, like Gravedigger, that's a really nice card. So, obviously, I regret going Tam into Pitiless into whatever I took over taking the Eclipsed Elf. Why is Bogslither's Embrace tabling? What is going on right now? This card is just hyper-efficient removal, right? This is the best black common and probably a top 5 common for sure, right? Are people just refusing to play Elves, the best tribe? I mean, I don't think you should force Elves by any stretch. I think you should take whatever power cards there are in the first couple picks, and then draft whatever, power cards you got. But if people aren't drafting elves, then you should lean into it and or force it. I like Gathering Stone. It's a very good engine card if you're heavy tribal and we're black-green and we're going to be heavy elves. It even gets Nameless Inversion, so that's kind of cool. And I mean, it's not really much of a choice. Like, I would take like an Elf Lord over Gathering Stone. I wouldn't take like a common elf over it. What's up, Black Lotus? I'm streaming regularly again. I wouldn't say full-time. I would say I'm streaming about once a week. Well, Graveshifter and Pitiless Fists, I mean, this feels pretty close. I do really like Graveshifter and Elves for the self-mill aspect, but we don't have broken creatures. Like, our power cards now, we just have a more, like, grindy deck and a less, like, powerful deck than last time. We have good removal this time, and removal does play well with Graveshifter also. Pitiless Fists, though, is pretty effective. Like, I think it's relatively close. I mean, I think Shifter's probably right for its synergies. Like, we just took Gathering Stone, so any close pick, we want to take elves over non-elves. And also, we will play more removal, but we do have a lot of removal. We have Bogslither's Embrace, Nameless Inversion, Assert Perfection, and Pitiless Fists already, and it's only the start of Pack 2. And we already have 4 removal spells. So I think that makes it a pretty clear Graveshifter. Saul says Graveshifter by a lot. Overall, I think those cards are relatively close, but he's probably right. Like, given we have Gathering Stone, so we want to prioritize elves, and given we have 4 removal spells at the start of Pack 2, it is probably Graveshifter by a lot right here. Okay, so here we'll take the Informant. Nice solid elf. I don't think there's much reason to take Wayfinder Invictus. We're not planning to splash. I think you pretty much never play Wayfinder unless you're splashing. It's a good splash enabler. It's a serviceable fixer. But if you're not splashing, then I don't think you want it. Assert Perfection is better than Blight Rod, I believe. Reaping Willow is like good, but it's triple black. So I think you just take the Assert Perfection. And there's another Pitiless Fist anyway. Yeah, it was... Saul's clarifying in the chat that he was saying because of my deck, it's not close. Like, he agrees it's close, like, like pick one, pack one or whatever. But contextually, it's not close because I have Pitiless Fists and Assert Perfection need creatures in play. I already have a lot of removal. So taking Graveshifter, which is basically 2 creatures because it gets back a creature, will power up your Assert Perfection and Pitiless Fists and make sure that those cards are always working. And he's 100% right. In this context, it wasn't a close pick. So another Embrace. It seems like the people just aren't drafting elves or removal spells in this pod. Reaping Willow, again, it's hard to cast. Like, if this card was 2 instead of 3, it would be a great card. And I'm not saying you don't play one in your black-green deck, but I'm just going to take elves. I already have double Graveshifter for recursion. And I don't need the difficult to cast power card over the elf or over the efficient removal. I'm not saying I wouldn't play a Reaping Willow if it dropped on my lap, but I'm going to take the good common elves even and removal spells over it. These cards don't matter. Our removal is mostly sorcery speed, so I think it's highly unlikely I'll play Nightmare Sower. Even though Lifelink is good with Pitiless Fists and I don't think these cards matter, but I guess if we were short 2-drops, I could play Sneakling, but we're not going to be short 2-drops. We have plenty. Like, I guess if I got a bunch, I shouldn't cut that card from the deck immediately. Like, I should know I have it. If I got a bunch of instants, maybe I'd play it, because it is good with 2 Assert Perfection, 2 Pitiless Fists. But, like, there's just not that many instants, and you could just do better for 4 mana. Like, it's worse than Graveshifter in my deck. It's worse than Pitiless Fists. How many 4s am I going to play? Okay, so here I'm definitely going to take the off-tribe card. With just Taster of Wares, they still have to exile a card. So this is 3 mana, 3/2, 2-for-1 the opponent, while impacting the board appropriately for 3 mana. So even in your non-goblin decks, Taster of Wares is still quite good. Like, if you have 0 changelings, 0 goblins, Taster of Wares is still quite good. And I'm not that. I have 2 Graveshifters. So I will do it for 2 a decent amount of the time. Okay, pretty easy dignitary for our elf deck here. Again, if this Reaping Willow tables, I'll play it, but it is hard to cast. I'm not going to take it over a good elf or a removal spell. Somebody might have a sick N Morkant's Loyalist third. I promise y'all I'm not forcing elves. That is not my strategy. I think it's the best tribe because it's the deepest, but I'm if you told me there's going to be 2 elf decks and only 1 Kithkin deck, I'd rather be Kithkin. If you told me there's going to be 2 elf decks and 1 goblin deck, I'd rather be goblins. And that's not even saying if there's 3 elf decks. If you tell me in my 8-man pod there's going to be 2 elves and 1 of any other tribe, I would rather be the one of the other tribe. But if the people aren't going to draft elves and you're just going to let me get Bog Slither's Embrace's 10th pick and Creekwood Safe Right's 4th and Morkant's Loyalist 3rd, like if you're just going to hand me all the elves, like I guess I'm going to take them. So now we have to decide between Perfection and Eulogist. Normally I would take Perfection, but I think we kind of want Eulogist. We have a lot of removal and a lot of perfection, and we have double, and this is really important, double Grave Shifter, so we need creatures in our yard, so Eulogist is really good for us for that reason. Saul pointing it out in the chat as well, like, that was a synergy pick all the way. I think if you're watching, you should take Assert Perfection over Eulogist in your elf deck probably like 80 to 90% of the time. But the time you don't is when you need creatures in play. You have, because you already have 4 fight and bite spells with 2 assert, 2 pitiless, and you need creatures in your yard because you have double Grave Shifter. So Twilight Diviner feels more like an uncommon than a rare. You're not like recurring creatures into play and making copies, but 3 mana, 3/3 Surveil 2 elf is still quite good. That's why I say it feels more like an uncommon than a rare. If you were copying with it, it would be a broken rare. If you're just 3 mana, 3/3 Surveil 2 elf, that's a solid card. That's like a 3rd pick quality card, right, for an elf deck. Nothing wrong with that. All right, we don't want any of these cards. I don't really think they matter. The solid playable elf that trades and goes to the yard to be Grave Shifted. There's no way we're going to play any of these cards, so I'll hate the Cinder Strike. We're not playing these cards, whatever. These cards don't matter. Sorry, cards, you don't matter. This deck came together pretty well. Not as good as the last deck, which was literally the best deck I've had in this format and probably a top 10 draft deck I've had in my entire life. We went 7-1, losing only to them copying my champion with Mirror Form. But quite a good deck. I don't know why this Curse Tosser's here. It stands no chance of getting played. As I said, Nightmare Sower is not going to make it. It's not an elf, and we don't have many instants, which is fine. I don't care that we don't have many instants, but we're just not going to play that card. We have enough 2-drops, so I don't think we're going to play Sneakling. Changelings are good when you have like multi-tribal synergies, which we do have the one Taster of Wares that cares about goblins, but everything else only cares about elves. And I don't really care if we can see 2 cards instead of 1 with Taster. That's not very important. So I don't think we want to play 2 mana 2/2 Changeling when we have 3, 4, 5 better 2-drops already. 6. We're going to always have something to behold. So we have 6 better 2-drops already. So what are our weakest cards? What are we actually going to cut? Guiltleaf's Embrace is a fine trick, but we could cut it. These 4s are uncuttable. Our 5s are both cuttable. They're fine, but they're definitely relatively weak cuttable cards. Dawnlight Archer is good, but it's our worst 3. Like I said, the 4s are not cuttable. This is 42, so we're looking to cut 2 and play 2. We're going to play 17 lands. I like Percher. I'm just saying it's cuttable. I drafted and put it in the playables, right? But, like, I'm not going to cut any of my good 2-drops or removal spells before I cut Percher. I'm not cutting any of these 4-mana cards before I cut Percher or Taster of Wares, Twilight Diviner, Vinebred Brawler, or Loyalist. Our 3-drops are all literally uncommon or rare and on tribe and synergy. Like, so I mean, the 4s and the 3s are uncuttable. And like, the 2s are quite good also, and you want to make your 2-drop. And all 6 of the 2-drop creatures here are pretty much like solid to should not be cut. So like, it's not that I don't like Percher. It's just we have to cut 2 cards. No, I don't think cutting a land's an option. I'm not super worried about Flood. I mean, we're a little bit more vulnerable to it than last time, but we have Stone, we have double Grave Shifter, Loyalist, Diviner, Surveil can surveil away lands to prevent flood as well. Yeah, no, Percher looks solid. I mean, it's probably going to make it. I'm just saying, like, stuff has to get cut. And we're not cutting the 4s or 3s. They're not cuttable. So we're not cutting Bog Slither's Embrace or Nameless Inversion or 2-drops. So, you know, I'm not anti-Percher, Chad. It's just I drafted it and put it right in the playables. But, you know, it is cuttable. Okay, so Guildleaf's Embrace is good with top-heavy creatures and lifelink. We've got 2/3/1s, but it's bad with Tam and Dignitary that aren't top-heavy or looking to attack. So Embrace is good with Scout and the 2 Informants, but bad with Dignitary and Tam. We don't self-mill a lot. We have 1 Eulogist and 1 Scarblade Scout. So I think we cut Stoic Grove Guide. I think Grove Guide is our worst card. It's fine, and when you get it for free off a self-mill, it's really good. But, like I said, we only have 1 2/2 mill 2 Scarblade Scout and 1 4-mana 3/3 mill 3 and Twilight Diviner. So that's not a ton of self-mill. It's enough, but I think the Grove is probably our worst card. And then I'm kind of inclined to cut the Embrace. We have a lot of cards that require creatures in play. We have 2 Assert Perfection and 2 Pitiless Fists. And I don't actually even want my creature to stay in play. I want it to trade and then I can get it back with Graveshifter. So I think playing more creatures and cutting the Embrace makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'll make the chat happy. The Percher made it. I don't think Pitiless Fist is cuttable, no. I think it's a very good card. Remember, the +2/+2 is permanent. It's not until end of turn. So, like, if you kill their 3 or 4 drop, and then your creature gets +2/+2 after that, that's a really nice card. We have all of our creatures are small and grindy. We're not playing like a ramp deck here. Like, look at the size of all my creatures. So Pitiless Fist is going to turn a Graveshifter from a 2/2 doing nothing into a 4/4 that commands like a double block or a trade. Or it's going to turn a 3/1 into a 5/3 or a 2/2 lifelink into a 4/4. Like, Pitiless Fist is a quite good card in the deck. Okay, but I think this is right. We can play the Archer for some top end. It's better than the other 5. We want to prioritize Elves because of the Stone and the Loyalist and the Behold. I'm less worried about the Behold because we should always have something. But Loyalist and Stone make every single Elf better. Whereas something like Behold means you really want to have at least like 6 or 7, so you have something to show virtually every time. But then you don't really care whether you have like once you have like 9 of something to behold, it doesn't matter if you have 13. Because it's not like for each one you behold, it gets X. It's just you need to have 1. So there are certain tribal cards that are like you need to have 1, like Behold. And then there are certain tribal cards where like they make each one better. Like Gathering Stone and Loyalist make every elf better. Behold is just like you got to have like at least like 7, let's say, so that you always have 1. But I think this is correct. I think the Percher is better than the Stoic Grove Guide at a nice top end. I think cutting the Embrace makes sense. It's only good on half our 2 drops. We want our creatures to trade and get them back with Graveshifter, and it's not an elf. So I think that works. Yeah, there's not that much instant removal in this format. Like, Feed the Flames is very expensive. If they leave up 4, you can probably do other things. Cinder Strike, the 1-mana removal spell, is a sorcery. Bog Slither's Embrace, the 2-mana removal spell, is a sorcery. Like, there's not that much cheap instant removal in this format. You shouldn't be that afraid of it. Tweez costs 3, but I'm saying, like, the instant removal costs 3+. It's not like they can just leave up 3 every turn, right? If they leave their 3 or 4 up, you just do something else, and then they have to cast their card. It's 3 to 4 mana. Whereas if it's like a 1-mana card, they can just leave it up every turn, potentially. So I wouldn't worry that much about instant removal in this format. Like, I'm not saying you should respect it and play around it when they leave it up, but then you'll just do something else and they'll have to use it. Otherwise, they'll be stranding 3 to 4 mana. So they're going to cast their Tweez, Blightrot, or Feed the Flame end of turn, so you just can't Assert or Pitiless that turn. You just have to respect it for that 1 turn. All right, so we could play Loyalist and then attack. They have the double block. We're, of course, happy with the trade and we gain 3. Or we could play Taster. I mean, Taster's kind of better, like, when they have a few less cards in their hand. But if you let them play all their good cards, then maybe you just get a land at the end, and that kind of stinks. But I do want a Pitiless Fist using the Scarblade Scout, so that's a reason to play the Taster. We do also have Graveshifter in the yard. If we get that back with Loyalist, we could then play it and then Taster for 2. But that's probably not going to happen. I don't know. We have a lot of options. We could Loyalist and pass the turn. It's not like they're going to kill the Loyalist because we'll just get back Graveshifter. We could Loyalist and attack, and then we trade down our 3/3 lifelink for like one of these. I better play stuff. We're roping. Or I could just Taster here. I kind of think it's better to get the Loyalist out. I think I'm just going to pass the turn. I'm not sure if this is right. It's really nice to get life, but we're on the play, and their deck doesn't seem like, it's going to pressure us anytime soon. So I didn't really want to trade my Scarblade Scout for their 2/2. I think this line is better. Now we can Pitiless Fist, gain 5, and pass with a 5/5 in play and kill a 3/3. This is pretty nice. I guess I could attack with Loyalist. I didn't even think about that. I should have done that before I played this. Because I would still be able to make the same play. But if they trade, Loyalist is getting back Graveshifter, and then Graveshifter is getting back Loyalist. So this is a good attack. So this turn I played correctly, but I sequenced incorrectly. Which, well, I guess I would have gained 1 less life. But probably that would have still been correct, right? But the turn I think I played perfectly. I think I just might, well, not perfectly because I don't think I sequenced correctly. I think I should have started by attacking with Loyalist. And then they probably make that same trade. And then I Pitiless Fists. Well, actually, I might not even Pitiless Fist then. I might Graveshifter back to Loyalist. So, yeah, I definitely missequenced. I think even missequencing, the play was correct. I think the trade was good. It's a free kill. Remember, I'm Graveshifting back the Loyalist. The Loyalist put the Graveshifter back in my hand. So I just killed their stuff for free. That was like a loot value, right? So I think my plays were correct. But I definitely missequenced. The way that turn should have went was first attack with Loyalist. If they block, I don't need a Pitiless Fist now. Play Graveshifter and get back the Loyalist. If they take it, then I Pitiless Fist the Scarblade and kill the 3/3. I guess Taster plus Assert is more mana efficient. I don't think I need to kill the Wicker Maw with Assert. I know I have a lot of removal. But I'm not that worried about them. I guess if they're like a 5-color deck or something. I guess the chat is suggesting here that they're green-white probably, so maybe taking them off Wicker Maw has a lot of value. That's not wrong, but they are also going to draw the green sooner or later. The white sooner or later, and I just really wasn't that worried about them casting a white card. It's a reasonable suggestion. I think probably it was better to just Graveshifter the Loyalist, but it's definitely a reasonable line I should have considered. So this turn I played the 2/3 drops because it uses all 6 mana and gets me in a position to start attacking. I didn't send Graveshifter. Maybe I should have. It's kind of a free roll, but they had all their mana up, and I wasn't sure what they were going to have. And but if they have nothing, it does connect for 3. So it definitely might have been right to send Graveshifter. I'm not sure about that. So we'll continue our looping. Not looping forever. Now the Graveshifter's in play. I can't get it back, but I do get back the Scarblade Scout. Okay, so now they have 3 cards in hand. It's probably time we have to Taster. No, well, maybe Pitiless Fist here might be kind of busted. If I Pitiless Fist on the Brawler and fight one of their creatures, the other one has to chump block. So that's got to be better than Tastering. So we're going to do that. This is just an incredible turn. This is, broken. We fight, right? Now we have 2 damage on us and must be blocked. So now we're going to just eat the 1/3 for free. And then the only question is, do we play Dignitary or Scarblade? Probably Dignitary. We don't need life, but we might want the extra 2 mana to play our whole hand next turn. Pretty good. I think game 1 here has really showed off the power of Pitiless Fists. How good have these 2 Pitiless Fists been? Okay, they said good game and conceded, which is fair. and they didn't even see the taster of the wares. Yeah, maybe I missed 2 damage. So I think overall I used my cards right, but like I said, I think that one turn I should have attacked with the 3/2 Lord and then done the Pitiless Fist post combat. It doesn't matter if I gain 1 less life, and if they don't trade with it, I gain the same amount of life, and if they do trade with it, I would actually rather just Graveshifter, I think, than fight the 3/3. And then I think I probably should have attacked with the Graveshifter that one turn when I played the Lord, but I mean, I'm not sure of every single card they could have, and I mean, it was not accomplishing much, but it's possible I miss a couple points of damage. Okay, do we want to play the 2/2 or the 3/1? Against Merfolk, I want life, so I think we play the 2/2 first. Hopefully it can still connect next turn. Plus we have the Assert Perfection, and we never know when we're going to want to use it if they have like a Lord or a creature with good abilities, you know. So like, I think it makes sense to get the Scout in play so that I can bite something if I want to. They could have a Flash Answer here, but it's not going to eat my creature. It's only going to trade. The 1/2 Flash Fairy can't turn itself into a 4/4. So worst case there is they're flashing in like a Sneakling or something that's an even trade. That's not a good enough reason to not attack. As much as I want the Scout in play for all these cards, the Pitiless Fight and the Assert Perfection, if I'm at 22, I'm not under pressure. Like, I don't actually need that life. Okay, it looks like the opponent's stuck on mana. Seems like we can Pitiless Fist, given we still have Perfection and Embrace. Of course, put it on the Scout. Fight the 2/1, not the 1/1. And then I'll attack with the Scout. It'll only have 2 damage on it. It'll be a 4/4. I'm not going to send the... maybe I'll send the 3/1 into the 1/1. I'm not sure about that. The Surveil is good for me. I can bin any land and top almost any spell. And well, you know what I could do? If I want to turn the 3/1 into a threat, I could Pitiless Fist the 3/1 and fight the 2/1. I'm going to miss out on a bunch of life. But otherwise, the 3/1's just going to sit here and look silly against 1/1 tokens. So I think it's probably actually correct. I'm going to 24. They're mana stalled, and I'm under no pressure. So I think this is actually right. I think even though I'm missing like a ton of life, I think I want a Pitiless Fist on the 3/1 instead of the 2/2 lifelink. And now I'll attack with just the 2/2. But now I have a 5/3 with no damage on it in future turns. So that's a real threat that can attack through this 1/1. Whereas if I Pitiless Fist on the Scout, the best I can probably do is trade the 3/1 for the 1/1 and Surveil. That seems worse to me. Okay, so I'm going to attack with both. Doesn't seem like they have a trick unless they just drew it, which they might have. Okay, so they had the Glamour, but that's okay. Now they can trade with the 5/3 or eat the 2/2. That card's going to do that, and I had no knowledge that it was in their hand. And then post-combat, we can play Taster and Informant. Surveil any lands to the yard, help prevent flood. Does this matter, the order? I'm giving them the information that I have Informant. If I Informant first, I'm gaining the information of what they Taster, what they exile with Taster. If I play Taster first, seems like it's just better to play Taster first. Well, I'm gaining the information off the Surveil, but they're the one who decides what to remove with Taster. So, seems like it's strictly better. It's small, but it seems strictly better to play Taster first. And we surveilled a land to the yard, so we don't know the top card. So we can surveil more lands to the yard, or hopefully just see good cards to draw them. Even though it kind of feels better when you get rid of a land because you got more value, what you actually want is to draw good cards. So it's better to just have a good spell on top, of course. Okay, I've still got the Embrace, so I think I'm going to assert Perfection here. Use the Scout to pick off the Preacher and then attack with everything. I got to start drawing spells soon. I've surveilled like 18 lands to the yard. And that's a 1/2 flyer with an ability. And remember, trades are good for elves and bad for merfolk. So you generally want even slightly negative trades when you're the elf player and they're the merfolk player. You don't want bad trades, of course. I'm not saying because they have Convoke and you have Recursion and Graveyard effects, you should trade down a lot. but you should trade down a small amount. I think we're in a position here to just keep being aggressive. The Brawler could lock them out next turn. I'm going to Blight and play Brawler. Actually, though, I think I'm going to Blight onto the Brawler. I don't want to miss any damage. So I think the play here is to make the aggressive play and embrace this 2-3. But I'm going to put the 1-1 counter on the Brawler. If they draw a land and go land, Merfolk Champion, Behold a Merfolk, tap a creature, tap the Brawler, that's the only way I think I can regret this play. I mean, they have to play 2 things here or they're dead on board. So if they do play 2 things, they're not going to be big enough to prevent me from attacking, right? It's not impossible that a Merfolk player on 3 to 4 mana can make 2 creatures. But they're only going to be creatures that are going to, like, chump or trade with mine, and I'm going to get to attack with everything again. So that was a mana-stalled opponent, but remember, they kept doing things, including the Behold Uncommon for 2 things. So, like, and I flooded pretty bad, so that game was relatively close, despite them being mana-stalled, and it was important to be aggressive and not let them draw out of that, or they probably beat us with the 3 to 4 cards in their hand. Chad asks what my favorite limited environments from the past couple of years. Wilds of Eldraine was my favorite limited format of the past couple of years. So now we have a 2 forest hand on the draw with a Tam. This is a close hand. I think we're 9 forests, 8 swamps, but we do have 2 of the 3-1 Surveil one. So we could draw our 8 swamps. We could draw the 3-1 Surveil ones. So that gives us like 10 good draws on the draw. I like to have like 12, 13 good draws usually to keep. Do we have anything else that I'd be happy to draw? I mean, we have the 2-3 Behold Elf that we can cast for 2 mana. That's like a medium draw. This feels really close. I mean, we have 3 draws because we have turn 2 Tam, which is fine. So then we have, we're happy to do that on turn 2. And then we have our 3rd draw step to get the swamp. So it's like, it feels really close to me. But my deck mulligans pretty well. Like, my cards are cheap. If I draw like 4 more lands, I can just put a land back and it's barely a penalty. It's not like this is a deck that really needs to make land drop 6. Like, I'm happy just to make land drop 4. I have 1 5-mana card in the whole deck. So I think this is a mulligan. Well, it is a slightly better hand. If I knew I was going to get this hand, I'd probably just keep the first hand. Like, it's probably not a good mulligan. But now we have Forest Informant. So that's like going to Surveil 1 and hopefully get us a swamp. We do have to decide what to put back. If I knew I was going to find the swamp, I would definitely rather have Diviner than Archer. But what if we draw a 3rd forest? It could be important to cast Archer on turn 3. So I'm kind of leaning towards putting the Diviner back. You know, Pitiless Fist is a removal too, though. I could put back the Embrace. I have a lot of removal, and I might want to surveil lands away. Like, let's say I play turn 3 Archer and I play the Diviner after finding the swamp and I have 4 lands. I'm going to be pretty happy to surveil 2 and get rid of land. That's practically draw a card. So I think 3-3 draw card could be better than Embrace when I already have Pitiless Fists. And I have a lot of removal, so I can expect to draw into more. I think that was a close choice. I think the only cards you should consider putting back, really, are Diviner and Embrace. But I'm really not sure which one was correct. Of course, we're going to surveil any non-land of the yard. But it is important to keep the Archer, because if I look at a forest there, I can't surveil that forest of the yard. Like, I have to draw that and then cast a 3-drop. So I think you should be deciding between the Embrace and the Diviner, and I think it's close. So I do have an Elf in the yard, so I could definitely play Loyalist. Or I could pass and just flash an Archer. Feels pretty close. I'm pretty happy to trade Loyalist for one of their cards and get back Eulogist. But I also already have the Informant to trade for the Stompling. So probably I should save the Loyalist for later and just play Archer. Actually, I could also play Diviner here to try and find land 4 for stone. Because, I mean, I don't care if they kill the Diviner. Now, the Diviner does have more value later surveilling lands away. That's why it wasn't my first thought. But Gathering Stone is better the sooner you get it going. So I think that's actually correct. Saul in the chat is pointing that out as well. Yeah, so I think this is correct. It's not my first thought because generally you want to do other things. I'm just going to bin both of those. So generally you want to do other things and then play Surveil when you don't need lands anymore and you can Surveil 2 lands away. That's the most common case. But the other time you want to play a Surveil card is when you really badly need 1 land. And Gathering Stone is much better the sooner you play it. So there's a lot of value in me finding the land immediately. Normally you want to blight onto a bigger creature because they're not going to be able to proliferate it 3 times. But I need to kill that with Pitiless Fists. So what I need to do here is blight onto the Informant, ship it to the yard, and then I can top a land. I can't get stone going before killing High Perfect Morant. That's more important. But I will have a 5/5 out to stop their creatures next turn if they don't have another removal. So, of course, High Perfect Morant, one of the best rares in the set. It's setting me back here and leaving me vulnerable. But if they don't have removal, we took care of it. We have a 5/5, and we can stone next turn. If they do kill the Diviner and hit me for 6, then it's going to be a close play between stone or Loyalist. Probably we have to Loyalist first because it's such a good blocker, right? We can trade the Loyalist for the 4/2 and get back the 3/3. I would like to stone, but I'm not really sure we can make that play. So that's interesting. They didn't attack with the Dignitary. They have an Elf in the yard. So we know they're going to add 2 mana. So they're going to either play something post-combat. Okay, they played another Dignitary. I was saying it was interesting because I was thinking they were just going to leave their mana up. Okay, so yeah, we're not going to stone and take 8. We're gonna have to play Loyalist here. I'm going to play the Loyalist over the Archer because I want to trade the Loyalist and get back something. Even though it's the Lord, like, I want to cast Eulogist against those 2/2/3s next. I'm going to need the 2 life and the creature that stops those 2/3s potentially. Well, that's probably going to be too much, but we've been on our back foot the whole game. And I mean, we were still fine after the Morant and after the Embrace. Now it might be too much. I'm not sure. So, actually, I can get Nameless Inversion and bring an Archer and only go to 1. So that's still an option. But I could also get Eulogist and then, no, I can't double spell that. I have to take Nameless Inversion now, I think, to kill the 6/2 trample. Oh, but I can do that right now. Oh, this game is nowhere near over. Okay. Indestructible doesn't save you against -3. So now if they just have 2/2/3s, we could still win this game. Now we can play Stone and then flash in Archer. Let's leave a black untapped in case we hit something we'd rather cast. I mean, we're going to 2. Obviously, we're dead to removal. But we could absolutely turn this game. Wow, that's an interesting one. So I kind of want to bin it, because if I see an elf off the stone and I have a lot of elves, I get a free card. But I also kind of want to top it. Yeah, I was hoping to bin a land or see an elf. I don't know what to do with this Embrace. So I'm going to play the land and flash in the Archer and trade with one of their 2/3s and go to 2. If they play a creature, I need to hit 2 things in a row, 1 off stone and 1 for my draw step, or I die. I mean, the thing is, if they had a good creature, you would definitely want to top it. But it is just a 2/3. So, like, any creature I hit is going to be able to trade with it. If I top it, I lose to any creature. Because I'm going to trade with one of their 2/3s. So if they play a creature and I draw Embrace, I'm dead. But if I bin it, in order to beat any creature, I do need to hit an elf off stone and then draw a spell off stone. But that could happen. I mean, then draw a spell off my draw step. I'm kind of inclined to get rid of it because their creatures are so weak. And I could draw Graveshifter, and then if I find a Graveshifter, I can beat 2 spells pretty easily, actually. And I have double Graveshifter. So the reason I binned it primarily is because if they play any creature here, now I can find Graveshifter off stone or my draw step, or I can hit an elf off stone and on my draw step. If I top it, I lose to any creature, right? Because I trade the 4-2 for the 2-3, and then I draw the Embrace. I embrace the Grove Guide, and I die to the Dignitary. So, like, I think the reason to bin it was so you could beat them playing a creature. If you top it, you're conceding the game to any creature. So I think binning it was definitely correct. And we would have lost either way. Because if I had topped it, I would have drawn it here, and then I would kill the Grove Guide and lose to the 2-3. But by binning it, I could have hit one of my 2 Gravelings, or I could have hit an Elf and then drawn any spell. So I think that was correct. But I think that game wasn't winnable. I think we did everything right. Like, after they played the High Perfect Morant, it was bad, but we were still fine. After they embraced the 5-5, it was bad, but we were still fine. When they played the +2/+0, also, it was quite bad, but we could still win if they had nothing else. And then when they played the additional creature and we didn't hit our card off stone, we lost. I don't think there's any way you can win that game. Okay, this is a cool hand, so we'll be able to play the turn 2 Dignitary, and then turn 3 we can play Informant. If we're able to surveil an Elf to the yard, we'll activate the Dignitary and be able to use 2 mana right away on turn 3, which is incredibly powerful. And if we can't, you know, it's okay. So that even increases our chances further. So you definitely play the, actually I'm going to, I don't know which one to show them, but, so 100% you play the Dignitary here. The only question is which one do you behold? I'm going to behold the Scout since I'm going to cast it. The thing is, showing them that I have the Scout makes them more inclined to kill the Dignitary because it doubles the chances that I'll be able to get 2 mana out of the Dignitary next turn. But probably they just can't kill it on turn 2 anyway. Okay, so we could cast the Loyalist, but I think it's just better to play the Scout. If we happen to hit an Elf off the Scout, we can then go Swamp, tap Dignitary, and play Loyalist for the greatest first turn 2, turn 3 in limited possible. If we miss, yeah, we spend 1 less mana, but we kind of would rather have the Scout out anyway. We don't really want the Loyalist out with no Elf in the yard, because then they can kill the Loyalist and we don't get anything back. So hopefully we mill an Elf here, and then if we do, that's pretty busted. We didn't. Sad panda. So it looks like they're playing like a Vivid Ramp type deck. So again, we're going to play the Informant, see if we can get an Elf. Make sure it leaves a Swamp up so that we can cast Loyalist if we bin an Elf. That is an Elf. If we bin it, we turn on our mana and we can get it back with Loyalist. It's a good Elf. It's one I'd like to draw next turn. I could leave it on top. I could play a land and play Informant. It's not like I need the Dignitary mana. But it's pretty good to get the 2 extra mana and the Loyalist out this turn. There is already a good target for Nameless Inversion in Tam, but I think I want to go for the power, not draw the removal spell. I'm not sure. This is a really interesting spot. I'm going to make the greedy play and bin it, which then lets me cast Loyalist, turns on the Dignitary. Then I get the nice attack for 3. But I'm not going to pretend that this isn't without downside. Now I can't kill Tam. The next, if they play a good creature, the next removal spell I draw has to target Tam, not the creature they play. So, I mean, and Vivid Ramp tends to do that. They tend to have good creatures in their deck. So this gave me a much better turn 4, but it means I can't kill Tam, which means I can't kill the good creature that they play, like this 4/4 Double Strike. So for now, we'll just play our creatures. No real choices. We don't really have an attack. But I can cast both Percher and Informant. I'm going to top removal. Use that to kill Tam. And then the next creature, removal spell after that, I can kill the Squawk Roaster or something better. And if they do kill Loyalist and I get back Inversion, then I can Pitiless Fist the Roaster. I mean, I have a lot of removal in my deck, so there is that. But all these cards would basically do the same thing. It's not like I needed the 2 mana off Dignitary. That let me be much faster, but it didn't turn anything on. So it's not clear which play was correct. I'd be curious to, what other people think about the choice between whether to top the Nameless Inversion or surveil it to the yard there. It was a very interesting spot. So they can make a creature protection from everything. So I basically, but this thing is colorless. So I could Pitiless Fists on the Rooftop Perchers if I want to. Right? No, because they'll just give their creature pro-green. Well, the creature... Yeah, the creature is the one fighting it, but the Pitiless Fist is targeting it, right? But anyways, I have a lot of removal in my deck, so I think I want to kill Tam. I mean, Squawk Roaster's good, but like the 3/5 is stopping my 4/2s and 3/3s anyway, so I think I want to kill Tam, so I think it's kind of moot. I think the only real choice is, do I kill Tam with like the 3/3 lifelink, or do I kill Tam with like the 4/4 flyer? They're going to need to kill the 4/4 flyer anyway, so I don't think I need to make it any bigger. I think I want to get this life and activate the Scout. Scout is going to be a threat. After I kill this Tam, they're not going to necessarily have Roaster on 5. And even if they do, I can just attack back if they hit me. I can't attack this turn because it has 2 damage on it. Yeah. So I think if I put the Pitiless on the Percher, they can still give their creature pro-green, I think. And I think that works. I think the effect fizzles because it's hexproof from Pitiless Fists. That might not be right. It might not be a green trigger. It might, since it's the Percher fighting it, I think it's a green trigger. I'm actually not sure. But I think this was probably the right play either way. I gained the 5 life this way from the Scout. I have a lot of removal in my deck, and so I kind of wanted to kill Tam more than any of these other creatures. Squawk Roaster's good, but I have a lot of life right now, and Tam is going to protect every creature forever. So that has 5 double strike. So I can't really group block it. I could block with the Loyalist and get back Nameless Inversion, but then my creatures will all shrink. I could block with an Informant, and then I get a Surveil 1. And as soon as I find a Grave Shifter, then I can run the Loyalist Grave Shifter loop. So I think for now, the top card is random. I think I'm going to take it just this once, and then next turn I'll probably block with an Informant. The reason for that is because I might hit a Grave Shifter off the Scarblade Scout, and then I would block with the Loyalist next turn instead of the Informant. So I think I'm going to take it this one time. It's a hard hit for 10, but I'm only going to 16, and I drew an Assert Perfection, so now I can kill it if I even want to. Or I could kill the 3/5, and then I could attack with everything. So it's relatively close. This is on white. This can be whatever color. They have 2 mana up, so I'm not going to assume they really have an instant for 2 mana here. I mean, Squawk Roaster is a lot better in play than Shimmer Creep, so I don't want to be too greedy. But if I take out the Shimmer Creep and attack with everything, they have to make trades, which means the Squawk Roaster is going to get smaller. But they do have green and white and red, so it's not going to get that much smaller. So this is really close. I'm not really sure whether I want to kill Shimmer Creep or Squawk Roaster. I don't know. I kind of want to get aggressive and kill Shimmer Creep, I think. Is this too risky? I mean, I have a lot of good attackers. I'm going to send everything but Loyalist. I'm going to go for it. I've always been pretty aggressive with my spells. I mean, they could have something, but I don't have a reason to put an instant in their hand with 2 mana. Assuming they don't have anything here, the 1/3 stops nothing. The 3/2 can trade with, the 5/2, and I get a Surveil. Oh, this was bad. I should have played the Scout first. Surveil is better after my mill 2. I'm definitely going to have to cast the scout this turn. So I thought really hard about that line, which is why I missed this. That's why you got to think everything through fully. I think that line was correct, but now what do? I should have played the scout first. Well, now I'm just going to pass the turn and not scout. But even though I get to draw a good card, it would be better to have the scout in play and then do the Surveil 1. With Surveil 1, I get to bin a land, top a good card. I'm going to find a good card most of the time. So, this was not correct. The right play last turn was to play scout, then assert perfection, then attack. Assert perfection, then play scout, then attack. And then I get the Surveil afterwards. Okay, so now I have Scout and Pitiless Fists. I might just be able to kill them. I think it's highly unlikely they have anything. So let's say I Pitiless Fists on the Percher, take out one of the blockers. It's a fight, not a bite. So I take out the 1/3. They take 6 in the air and they go to 5. And then the 2/4 blocks the 4/2. And then they die. They take 6 more. I think it's near impossible they have something for 1 mana here. They didn't have anything for 2 mana last turn. So I think they're just dead. Luminolust doesn't have reach. It has Death Touch, right? Yeah, so I think they're dead. Unless they have something for 1 mana, which seems unlikely. Yeah, I think this aggressive line was definitely correct. I think killing the 3/5, not the Squawk Roaster, was definitely right. But what my last turn should have been was first assert perfection, then after that succeeds, play scout, mill 2, then attack with everything, then I get the Surveil when the 5/2 trades. Attack with everything but the Lord. I think I did everything right except the scout should have been played before combat. It's funny because I did get a little value out of the fact that if I see a top card, I can choose a top card that's good. I can choose to not play scout, and if I see a top card that's bad and I surveil it away, then I could play scout. But that's worse. Even though it's not nothing, that's worse than just having the scout in play. I mean, that was a tight board. Having the extra creature in play mattered, and I still get a Surveil 1, so I still get to look at the top card, bin a land, top a good spell, So, definitely the right play the previous turn. I think it was right to assert perfection, the 3/5, and attack with everything but the Lord. I think I did all of that correctly. I just should have played the Scout pre-combat. After seeing the Pitiless Fist, I think it was correct to not play the Scout. So, again, I think I did that correctly then, but the Scout should have just been in play when I attacked before the Surveil trigger. Okay, this is a good spot to play the 3/3. It's bigger than their 2/2, and I'm going to bin virtually any creature and top virtually any land since I don't have land 4. And I want creatures in my yard for both Safe Right and Graveshifter. So, of course, they show me 2 lands. Well, I need 4. Do I want 5? Am I going to double spell on turn 5? I could. I have to Pitiless Fist next turn, and then the turn after that, Safe Right and Brawler. I mean, I might draw land anyway, and if not, I'm drawing stuff I can do. And I don't necessarily even want to Pitiless Fist next turn, so I think I bin 1 land and top 1 land. I was really hoping to just see a creature to bin there so that I could turn on the Safe Right, but I guess it could be worse, right? So they're definitely on the aggro now, Merfolk. My deck is going to try and grind through this. I don't want to let them get too far ahead. So I have to decide between Safe Right and Assert Perfection, or just cast Diviner again. Now I could, if I cast Diviner and I bin a creature, next turn I'll be able to double spell with Safe Right and Brawler. And Diviner does stop Preacher and then can trade with the Recluse. So that's decent. So I think even though it's nice to use 4 mana instead of 3, and that does matter a lot, I think in this spot, I don't really want to trade Safe Right for either of those. I barely even want to Assert Perfection them. So I think just casting the creature is what makes sense. Hopefully they don't have another Recluse. They're just not going to let me bin a creature here. I definitely am going to top 1 land and bin 1 land, because I would like land 5 next turn, so I can just double creature. I don't know if it matters. I don't know whether I want Forest number 3 or Swamp number 3. I have 2 of each in play at the moment. I think my deck's a little bit more green than black, so I'll top the Forest. So I'm not bringing creatures from the yard directly in play, and I want a creature in the yard, so I'll trade my 3/3 for their 3/2. No big deal. I might end up grave shifting it back later and then getting Surveil again, and in the meantime it'll grow Safe Right. And now I'm just casting my 2 creatures, no decisions. This turn is scripted, nothing to think about. Their 2 creatures are mediocre targets for removal. Vine Brawler is threatening in play. Safe Right is growing. This turn was 100% play these 2 creatures. Pitiless Fist on Brawler is really nice. Like, they had a good turn too, but I'm going to Pitiless Fist the Brawler, eat something, and then they have to chump it. Probably I'll just do the 2 untapped creatures, right? And then I can just hit them for 5 damage and eat one of their blockers. I mean, eat both their untapped blockers. This seems really good. Seems kind of like a no-brainer again. I mean, obviously the options this turn are closer than they were last turn. I could not attack with the Safe Right to hold it up to block, but I actually think this is a race I'm winning, even though it doesn't look like it. Because if they just, like, attack me and pump or attack me and play something, the thing might get eaten by Brawler. And, like, I'm hitting next turn for, like, what, 6 and 6? Not even counting playing things. So I think this is a race I'm winning if they're not doing things. And remember, Merfolk uses their creatures to convoke a lot of the time. So, like, if you leave your creatures up to block, they might just convoke with them and not even attack. So, I mean, I think this is right. I'm not saying I'm just going to cruise to victory like that. They're probably just going to kill the Brawler with, you know, pacifism of some kind or whatever. But I'm not scared of them attacking me and playing a creature. Like... And you see that's exactly what happened. So now I'll probably Pitiless Fight that away as well. The question is, which one do I put the fight on? Probably the Safe Right. And then I'm probably also going to assert Perfection away like the Preacher. Because I think I'm like just really threatening them now, right? I mean, if I use both removal, yeah, I'm out of removal. But if somehow they stabilize, I have Grave Shifter, Diviner, I don't know how to say it. And honestly, like, how much damage are they taking? 6, 12, 14, 15? So both my creatures are lethal threats next turn, basically. I mean, I don't have to assert Perfection, but I kind of want to stop them gaining 2. I'm not scared of Shieldbearer or Marrow at all. Maybe that's too greedy. Maybe I shouldn't be worried about 2 damage. I mean, them gaining 2 life. I don't know. Merfolk doesn't really play, like, big creatures very much, though. Yeah, I think it's right. So I think Pitiless Fight on the 5/6 is kind of a no-brainer. Whether or not you want to assert Perfection away the Preacher here, I think is quite close. But I like it because the Brawler is the one that provokes blockers, and the Safe Right is now a lethal threat. So if they kill the Brawler, they have to chump block the Safe Right. If they kill the Safe Right, they're going to be forced to block the Brawler. So I think that left them pretty vulnerable. That said, they now have the ability to tap the Distractor for mana and give -3/-0 at instant speed. So they can turn the Brawler into a 3/4. So it'll, like, they could, like, double block it. They still, or trade the Distractor for it. Now, they still would have to chump block the Safe Right. What they would do if I attacked is probably put the 4/3 on the 4/4, and then they could, like, shrink the Safe Right. I don't know. It's not great for them. But I don't think it's necessarily great for me either. Let's say I attack with just the Safe Right. It's a 3, it becomes -3/-0, so it becomes a 4/7. So if they want to kill it, they have to, like, triple block it, and then it trades with 2 of their creatures. That seems decent. If I send both, it's going to get +2/+2, so they're going to just chump it, and then they're going to trade with the Brawler, which will be a 3/4, but that's also decent. I think, actually, I probably just want that, right? Because, like, if I send both, they can trade Distractor for Brawler and, like, chump block the Safe Right, but they have to block the Safe Right. So they can't double block the Brawler with the 2 small creatures to kill it, because then they would die from the Safe Right, right? Even if they give the Safe Right -3, they would die from it. So I think this is good. This basically means if they want to kill either of my creatures, they have to lose their Distractor, which is what I'm really concerned about, because with the Springleaf Drum out, the Distractor is actually quite threatening. They have the ability to give -3/-0 at instant speed for the rest of the game. So this play is great. It just means I'm trading with the Distractor, and they're chump blocking the Safe Right. Now, I do have to decide whether to Graveshifter back Diviner or Brawler. Brawler forces a block, and the Safe Right's lethal, but Diviner Surveil 2 is really good right now. I mean, I can bin any land. I can top, like, removal spells and lords. So I'm not really sure whether I want the Vine Brawler here. I'm definitely Graveshifting. I just don't know which of these 3-drops I want. Feels really close. I think the Surveil 2 is a little bit safer. A 3/3 is a good creature on this board. And I'm going to look at 2 cards to get rid of lands and top good spells. And if I can find good spells, how could I lose, right? That's a mediocre spell, but it also has Surveil, in addition to being a real threat. Like I said, Merfolk doesn't have that many big creatures. So, like, if I can top something that trades with one of their cards and Surveil ones twice, that seems good. So, of course, they play the only big creature, like, an unexpected big creature. That's okay, though. So, like, the 4/5 and the 2/3 don't even have a profitable double block on the 7/7. So this turn, I just send the 7/7, right? Let them chump with their Marrow, play the Informant. There's no reason to send all 3, because the end result is going to be the Marrow's still going to chump block the 7/7, and the 4/5 is just going to eat a 3/3. Now, if this was 1 bigger, that would be different, right? Because then they have a profitable double block to deal with the Safe Right. But for this turn, they have no profitable block on the Safe Right. So we'll just eat their creature, add to the board, try and find good things with Surveil. Again, it's not great, but it's good enough. I'm in such a favorable position. I'm not binning 4/2s. Remember, my opponent isn't surveilling every turn. Like, they could just draw lands at any point, right? So now it is the other situation, though. Assuming they don't do anything else here, if I attack with just Safe Right, they have a profitable double block. But if I attack with everything, if they want the 4/5 to eat one of my 3/3 here, then they have to chump block the Safe Right. So last turn, they didn't have a profitable block on the Safe Right, so I sent only the Safe Right. This time, if I send only the Safe Right, they have a profitable double block, so this time we send everything. So now they can't double block the Safe Right, so their block is 4/5 on Diviner and 3/3 Lurker on Safe Right. So all I'm doing here is trading Diviner for their 3/3 Flyer and dealing them 5. And I guess they had enough. By the way, I didn't ask yet, how does everything look and sound? I moved the mic and adjusted the settings a little bit, so I'm hoping the audio is a little better. I haven't heard any complaints from the chat, but also I didn't ask. And hopefully everything looks and sounds good on the stream. Let me know in the YouTube comments as well. I'm going to upload this. So this time I kept the 3 Swamp Hand on the draw. I have the Nameless Inversion for turn 2, and I have 9 forests, so I think that's correct. Of course, I drew swamp number 4 immediately, because, you know, that's how Magic works. I think I'm playing 9 forests, 8 swamps. I'm going to take the 2 and see what they do, because this is a game where I might need time. So if they play something more threatening like that, I'm going to Nameless Inversion it. That can grow to a 4/5. The 2/1 Trapper is a better card overall, but given I was missing a forest, I was just, like, more concerned. I'm also going to preserve the Brawler and Flash and Archer. They'll probably see it coming, but I wouldn't have wanted to attack with the Brawler this turn, very likely, and it could be more threatening in the late game. So I think now I have the first real decision. I mean, whether to play Brawler or Archer last turn was close, but now I have a decision. I can attack, and then they can trade with their 2/2 flyer, which is like an evenish trade. If they don't, I could play Brawler, which means I can pump Archer, and Brawler provokes 1/1s. I know they can tap, but that ties up a mana, the 2/1 and the 1/1. Or I could play Eulogist, which is more mana efficient, and lets me double spell next turn potentially. But I don't really have anything I want to throw the 1/1 on, and they don't really have anything I want to embrace. So So I'm not really sure what to do. I kind of think I want to just attack with Archer and then play Eulogist. They might block, they might not. Remember, they don't know that I don't have like the +2/+0 indestructible trample card in my hand. And like, they can tap or kill my Archer, so they might value their flyer. White-red is the aggro deck here, and you know, they don't want to make that trade necessarily. So that's cool too, because that gives me something to blight onto if it's around. And if they remove it in response, then not that, like, they can't remove it in response to me casting, but if they remove it before that, they're putting a -1/-1 on something. So if they're spending their turn 5 killing my 3/3, I kind of have to assume they're not holding any good creatures. So I'm probably willing to embrace the Trapper. And now that I drew second Embrace, that's a no-brainer. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to embrace the Trapper. We'll obviously blight onto the Eulogist. Presumably they'll respond by tapping Archer here. And then I'm going to cast Brawler. This is a grindy game where they've got some small stuff out. I've got removal, but they don't really have great targets. But the Brawler can force like one of these to block it. So we'll see what they do this next turn. Probably they're holding removal because they used their pacifism on my 3/3 and they didn't play a creature on turn 5. I shouldn't say probably they're holding removal. I should say it's more likely they're holding removal than creatures. Probably if they had a 4 or 5 mana creature, they would have just played it, or a 3 mana creature. And so like, if they're choosing to put the pacifism on my Eulogist and cast no creature, we pretty much know they don't have a creature that costs 5 or less mana in their hand, because they didn't need to pacify my Eulogist. I'm not saying it was a bad target, it was wrong, but like, imagine you were them and you had a 5-drop or a 4-drop and you had the pacifism, right? And you had 5 mana. You're going to cast your 4 or 5-drop over pacifying the Eulogist. So that means we can basically rule creatures that cost 5 or less mana from their hand, which means their hand is basically like a second removal spell, lands, or a combat trick. So unfortunately, this taster might be a little late. There's a good chance they just have a land, but maybe they have a sorcery speed removal or a combat trick. We're still going to play it. Okay, so they crib swap my 4/2 into a 1/1. Now we do have to decide whether we want to embrace their 2/2 here or hold it for potentially better creatures. I think it's probably right to embrace it. I mean, it's a flyer, it's a 7-turn clock. I'm taking 2 and hitting for 3. I could let a turn or 2 go by and see if they draw anything better. I do have a lot of removal in my deck, but I also drew a lot of removal. What do I have left? Like 2 Assert, 2 Pitiless Fists? This feels really close, whether to kill the Sky Swimmer or not. I think I'm going to let like 1 turn go by and see what they draw and what I draw. Like if they play a bigger creature, I'm going to be pretty happy I didn't kill that. If they play nothing, I took 2 and I'll kill it on my next turn. So we'll see what they draw this turn. Okay, so now I'm definitely going to kill the flyer. First strike when attacking is annoying, but flying is better than that. I should probably just assert with the Taster. If I assert with the 1/1, they can block with their 1/1. That's funny playing for Platinum. I asked the chat a few minutes ago how everything was looking and sounding. They said everything looks great except the funny looking spot in the bottom right corner referring to my face. Love a good beat. So I'd rather use Assert than Embrace while they don't have instant removal in hand, and Embrace can kill any size creature. So I'm definitely going to use Assert this turn. I mean, I could get aggressive and kill both the Spikeling and the Swimmer, but I think that's wrong. My deck probably has more late game, especially if I have removal in hand. And, like, the Wearer can't block the Spikeling. So I think I'm going to just Assert Perfection here. And then I'm just going to attack with the Wearer. The 1/1s can stare at each other, and if they want to trade their 2/1 first strike for my 3/2, they can. And if they don't, that's cool too, right? My deck probably has the better late game. So we're either in a situation where they're taking 3 and 4 this turn, but then 3 afterwards and hitting me for 2 back. Or they make the even trade, a 3/2 for a 2/1. Perfectly fine. So now it's even and I'm up in Embrace. Of course, it is a top deck battle, but I have a lot of good draws. I have Graveshifter. I have Diviner, Surveil 2, 3/3. I have the Lord, the 3/2 Elf Lord. And even all these 3/1s are pretty good now that a land is, you know, a dead card and I can Surveil it away. The Informant's a really nice 2-drop. I've been saying for 10 years that the number one thing I look for out of my 2-drops is that they're not bad draws in the late game, that they're effective. And that can happen different ways, right? Like with level ups, like, you know, if they have like an Evolve or whatever, we can pay mana and make them bigger. But that can also happen with a Surveil 1 when they enter and leave, right? Surveil 1 is draw half a card in the late game, or 40% of a card, roughly. And now we do have the Graveshifter, so I'm going to attack. If they trade, I get the Surveil 1. If they attack me back, I'll block with the Loyalist, and then I'll get back the Graveshifter, and then I'll Graveshifter back the Loyalist. I mean, it's not an endless loop, because the Graveshifter's in play. It doesn't magically go back to the yard. But you get to loop them once and net a free Graveshifter and a free kill. So they can see that coming, so they choose to block and trade. But this is a good trade for me. I get a Surveil, I can bin a land, top a good draw. That's good enough. Unless they have Exile, I should have a creature in play indefinitely. If they kill Loyalist, then I get back Graveshifter. That said, I'm still holding another removal, so even though their creature's mediocre, I'm going to take it out. They might have like a Tweeze or something, and so they were like, well, I don't want to use that on the Loyalist because he's just going to get back the Graveshifter. But again, if they kill it in response here, it's not like I care that much. They keep their Torchmaster, and then I get back the Graveshifter, and then Graveshifter back the Loyalist. So if I knew they had removal, I probably wouldn't do this, but it's still relatively close. So it's like, you know, and if they don't have removal, I'm definitely happy to do this. Remember, they're not really killing a creature here. They're preventing my removal spell with their removal spell. But now I'm Graveshifter back Loyalist. And then the next time Loyalist dies, if the Graveshifter's still around, I can still get back a 3/3 flyer, gain 3. So this is just value, value, value. Grinding lots of value. They should not blight and attack with the Preacher here. Yeah, they'll gain 2 life, but I'll trade the Graveshifter for the Preacher, which then I can play the Loyalist, and the Graveshifter's in the yard, and now I have this unkillable Loyalist again. That would not be a good play by them to trade with the Graveshifter. Which is why I'm going to attack with it, because if they trade with it, then it's in the yard for me to get back with the Loyalist. If they take it like they should and attack me back, which maybe they'll do, maybe they won't, I'm happy to trade the Loyalist for the Preacher and then get back a 3/3 flying, gain 3 on this board, right? This is a very favorable thing. Yeah, I'm an elf deck, but I'm not like a go wide elf deck. I'm not going to draw a card that makes 4 elves or whatever. So I trade with their creature and get a 3/3 flying, gain 3. Pretty strong. So of course I would trade my 2/2 no ability for their 2/2 with ability. It's a relatively even trade, but favorable for me. And now, like, they could win, you know, of course, but we're in pretty good shape. I guess we'll just get rid of their best creatures. I don't know, Sky Swimmer and Bramblebrute. Because, I mean, we're holding removal if they draw a good creature. And we're going, like, wide with, or not wide, but we have 3 creatures to their 1. So, like, if they draw removal, we're still up. And if they draw a creature, we'll kill it. So we're in really good shape. And this just furthers that because we're not going to draw 3 straight lands, or very likely, very unlikely that will happen. So we're going to get to draw more good cards. So we're not only playing a 3/3, but we're drastically improving our average draw step next turn. Chad asked why I traded the 3/2 for their 2/1. I can't block their 2/1 with my 3/2 because it has first strike. I could double block it, but then if they have a trick or removal, I get really destroyed. So basically, I can either take the 2 and then hit back for 3, or I can make the trade. And given they're a Boros aggro deck, and I'm holding an unconditional removal spell in my hand, and I have a deck full of like Grave Shifters and Diviner and the 3/2 Elf Lord, I feel really good about going into a stalemate against a Boros aggro deck with an unconditional removal spell in my hand, compared to if I start racing 3 for 2, they might sneak in a lethal. They might draw something, you know, they might outdraw me over the next couple cards by a little bit and then sneak in 20. Like, I want a longer game, not a shorter game, is what I'm trying to explain. So this hand's not pretty looking, but, you know, Brawler's good at forcing trades, and then I can Graveshifter it back, and then if I can trade the Graveshifter, I can Graveshifter that back. So my hand's not great, no 2-drop and a little underpowered, but it can definitely grind. And I'm just going to take the... Well, actually, I don't know. Do I Pitiless Fist and then I have a 6/4 out? Or do I trade and then Graveshifter it back? I think I actually want to trade and Graveshifter it back. Here's why. Because then I can Pitiless Fist the Graveshifter, which means they'll need to trade or kill the Graveshifter, because it'll be a 4/4, so you can't just ignore a 4/4. And then I'll be able to Graveshifter the Graveshifter. So this is how I get the most value. It plays the grindy game, not the offensive game, which is probably what we want against goblins, right? So now I'm going to do that while they're tapped. There's nothing for 1 red, I don't think, in the whole format. On their turn, Cinder Strike, but that's a sorcery. So now, like, they don't know I have a second Graveshifter, right? So, like, they probably want to kill this 4/4 one way or another, whether it's trading or removal. Then I can Graveshifter back the Graveshifter and just keep the value train rolling. So this turn, I can spend 4 mana and Graveshifter back to Graveshifter, or I could spend 3 and add a Brawler to the board. It's a better add to the board, but given I have no lands in hand and I'm going to have endless ability to spend mana this game, given I'm Graveshifting back another Graveshifter, I think it's way more important to use 4 mana than to impact the board a little bit better. My hand is a bunch of removal spells, so I'm not too worried that the game's going to be short. I just want to spend all my mana every turn if I can. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's more important in a short game to impact the board harder, but I don't think this game is ending anytime soon. So they feed the Flames the Graveshifter to break up the loop, right? This shows you the power of Graveshifter. They just used 4 mana, deal 5 to kill a 2/2 with no abilities in play, because otherwise if it dies again, I'll Graveshifter it back again. Okay, so now I think I'm going to play Informant and leave up Nameless Inversion, expecting that I'll probably get to use 4 mana again. Most likely, goblins will play something I can kill. And even though I could kind of use a land, I'm not really in a rush. I'm going to draw land sooner or later, and I can cast every card in my hand, almost every card in my deck. I have the one Percher in my deck. Every other card costs 4 or less mana. What I don't want to do is play the Taster of Wares while they have their mana up, because if they kill it in response, I won't get to exile a card. I want to 2-for-1 them with that. So I think my choice now is Tam or Brawler. I think Tam is probably right. They're almost certainly going to kill either one. And this leaves up Nameless Inversion. They were correct not to cast their enchantment because they want to blight 1 with it and get the goblins. Now, I'm not going to let them do that. I'm going to kill the glutton in response. But with Bogart Mischief, unless you already have a massive board or something, you really want to blight 1 and get 2 1/1 goblins out of that thing. That's clearly good value. Okay, so they killed Tam. That makes a lot of sense. I would definitely be willing to Graveshifter back Tam, but I'm not concerned about doing that right now, and Eulogist just hits harder. So I think here we just slam our Eulogist. They're already going to 8 with this drain for 2. Nameless Inversion is an elf. Bing. So now I actually have to choose. I can hit for 3 and put them to 5 and then play Graveshifter, and I have 5 on board. Or I could pass the turn and flash an Archer in a turn, or I could play Brawler. Brawler's the most threatening, but I still think it's more important that I use 4 mana. And I'm threatening lethal in play anyway. And it's really not important that I kill them 1 turn sooner or less, right? I think what really matters here is that I keep using all my mana, because look, I have 6 cards still in hand. And that's not a bad thing, but it does mean you really want to prioritize using all your mana over getting a little further ahead on board. This deck's performing quite well. I'm just drawing well, I think, because I think this deck is good, but nothing special. I mean, 2 Graveshifters, the 3/2 Elf Lord, it's nice, right? But like, look at my last deck. I mean, there's a lot of broken rares and uncommons in this format. And I think my deck is like, a very solid elf deck. I would say it's maybe a little above average, but I don't think this is any sort of masterpiece to be 6-1. I guess overall I've drawn pretty well. The only game we lost was the one where they had all of those cards after the broken black-green 4/4 elf, and I took a mulligan that game. Wish I had drawn like this in the arena qualifier last weekend. All right, so we don't have a 2-drop, but Nameless Inversion can kill almost any 3-drop, so probably we won't fall behind here. So we can't stop the rummage, so there's no reason to give them the information first. If we kill it, they still get the trigger. But then we are going to kill it. Whereas you might want to be a little bit judicious with your unconditional removal. When it's something like Nameless Inversion, it can only kill up to 3 toughness. So you just ask yourself, like, how close to the top of the range of this card is this? And basically, if you're killing a real creature, you're probably pretty much there. This looks like a game where I could very easily get flooded, which is definitely something my deck's a little vulnerable to. Hopefully I can draw something. So I don't really want to trade Brawler for Robber and give them another treasure. I don't really see how that benefits me. I already have the Elf for Eulogist with the Nameless Inversion. And even if I make the same trade later, I might get a +2/+2 on a 3/3 or something, which could deal 2 extra damage, or it could deal like 5 extra damage if it gives me an attack when I wouldn't have had one otherwise. This game looks like I'm going to lose to Flood unless I really draw well from here. So if I attack with the 3/3 Menace, I trade with the Noggle Robber or deal 3. Gives them a treasure. It's not great. But it does also help clear the way for the Brawler to have a profitable attack, assuming they attack me with the 6/5. Because, like, if they play the 1/4, for example, the Brawler will get to eat it next turn if the Noggle Robber's in the yard and the 6/5 attacks. They could play something else. Maybe they have something for 2 or 3 mana. Maybe they don't. They could hold back the 6/5, but that would be great for me. So I might want this trade. Now, on the other hand, their thing makes a treasure, so they're actually going to have 3 to 4 mana to cast something else. Mine has Menace. It's not really a good trade, so I probably shouldn't attack. I think a big part of why I'm 6-1 with this deck right now is I just haven't flooded, because my deck's a little vulnerable to flood. Like, I have a lot of Surveil, but I don't use a lot of mana that well. I think it was right to play 17, not 16, but you still need to, you know, curve out, play your lands, and then you can Surveil lands away, and I have 2 of the 3/1 Surveil and Diviner and ways to get them back and all that. But if I draw like 7+ lands, my deck is not good. This isn't like a Morkin size deck. Like, I can't use this amount of mana. It looked really good when I was drawing 4 and 5 and 6 lands. So I don't know what they're going to have. I'm sure they have something else to do. I don't really think I'm going to win this game. But if I'm going to, I think it's going to involve Brawler eating that 1/4 and hitting them for 4 with Scarblade Scout. So I'm just going to take it. Other ways I could win, maybe if I draw the Elf Lord or the Grave Shifter or the Diviner. I do have a lot of unconditional removal. So, like, if they don't have anything, this is pretty good. Probably they have something, but we'll see what it is. They're searing a 2/2 lifelink. I mean, that's... I'm eating the 1/4. They're searing away a 2/2, because otherwise I would have gained 4. Does Pitiless Fist work? Not especially well. I kind of needed Bog Splitter's Embrace to kill 6/5. So they're going to play another 6/5 here. Yeah, so you know what? Pitiless Fist is okay. I'll put that on the 6/4 and fight the 3/3, and then attack, and their 6/5 will have to block the 6/4. So, I mean, I'm still in rough shape, but that's certainly good enough to top, I think. I think the plan is just take the 9 and go to 4, like, if they attack with both. Because I want the Surveil when it has value and not right now. And then the Pitiless Fist on the Brawler can fight off the Robber, and then the Zealot is forced to block the Brawler. So then I get that trade. So it's not looking good, but I can mostly deal with what's in play. Now, I do have to make one decision. Do I attack with both 3/3s and hit them for 8? Or do I hold both 3/3s back to double block the tap 6/5? I'm at 7, so if they have 1 single point of damage, I'm dead. But if I put them to 7, I have these 2 3s in play. They would die to like a Eulogist or a Grave Shifter on the Eulogist or something. So they might be a little hesitant to attack me to 1 if they can't kill me. And, like, can I really beat all of these spells in a long game? Probably not. So, like, I think it's probably correct to make the aggressive play. I'm probably just going to die. But, like, I'm probably going to lose anyway. And, like, if they don't have like a way to deal to one, they might be scared to be too aggressive. And I can always make the same double block next turn. Like, if I don't draw a good card this turn, I'm definitely not winning. But maybe they play just like the 3-2 or the 3-2 and another small creature and hit me for 6. And then maybe I draw Bogslayer's Embrace and I don't have to double block the 6-5. I can Bogslayer's Embrace it and use my 2 creatures to stop both of theirs. And maybe I somehow sneak in a lethal. I don't think it's likely, but maybe it's not impossible. I might have second Pitiless Fists if they only leave back 1 blocker and I Pitiless Fists it away with the Eulogist and hit them for 8. That would be amazing. Again, they have all these cards in hand, so I don't think this is going to happen. But maybe their whole hand is land. And maybe some expensive card they can't cast and the Cinder was going away, so they chose to cast it. Do I think any of this is going to happen? No, I think I'm going to lose. But do the best we can. An Assert Perfection would actually even be lethal if they didn't have anything. Graveshifter. Come on. All right, well, I'm dead if they attack with both. But presumably they aren't looking at my hand. Okay, well, now I'm dead for sure. They were holding multiple removal spells. Okay, good game, good game, good game. Hey, Knuckleamoid, I am back to streaming. All right, 6-2, playing for the trophy. We trophied the first draft pretty easily. We were 6-0. We lost 1 to Miraform on my own champion, and then won the 8th game or the next game and got the 7-1. That deck was a lot better than this one. Now we're here 6-2, so that's it. Last game of the draft, win or lose. Last game of the stream. Win we get the trophy, lose we don't. You think we're gonna get the trophy? I think this deck is fine. Like, I don't want to undersell it. I've got Creekwood Safe, right? Elf Lord, double Graveshifter, great removal, Stone. I think it's probably even a little above average. I don't think it's anything special, though. I think the first draft deck was special. All right, another perfect hand to lose with. No 2-drop. We got 4 lands, a Graveshifter, an Archer. I have not played much of the Powered Cube Crafter. Opponent just coming right out with Naya, which it could be like a creature deck, a Vivid type deck. You got the Dundalin Weaver is a good card. You know, play it on turn 2 to trade or play it late for value, and then you got the 0 for mana guy and 3 kinds of mana. I now have to decide. I wish I had drawn the TAM 1 turn earlier. They're not going to attack with an 0-4, so the 4-2 is not eating anything, and I don't want to trade it for the Weaver. So I'm either going to play the 4-2 Flash Archer. So I'm either going to play Brawler or I'm going to play TAM. TAM can protect things later, so that's a reason to play the TAM. But the Brawler does use all my mana. We don't know if they have removal in hand, and I can always Graveshifter it back anyway. So I think the Brawler is the right play. The Brawler can never eat the Druid because they can always tap it for mana. But I can now Graveshifter back the Brawler, and then on turn 5, if I draw a land, I can play TAM and Brawler and use all my mana. Well, that actually could change it. Now I have a real decision to make, right? I was going to Graveshifter back the Brawler. No big deal. Graveshifter can trade with Weaver. I can take 3. I'm at 16. But I'm worried that they could empty their hand, and the Taster of Wares now could get a spell. But they're going to draw a card. Are they going to play 3 things, land, and 2 spells next turn? Maybe, right? They also might have 2 spells in hand and draw a land, and, well, it'll still just come down to whether they can play the 2 spells. They also might play their last land next turn to cast a 6-drop, and then I might get a spell. Whether you play Taster of Wares or Graveshifter here is pretty close. I think I'm going to go with the Graveshifter just because I want to use the 4 mana primarily. You could also, by trading the Taster of Wares off Graveshifter, it back instead of the Brawler, but the odds are they're not really going to have more cards in hand several turns from now. So I need to kill that for sure. So I think I'm going to take and then Pitiless Fist away Sonar. Because if I block, if I don't draw a land, I guess I can play Tam and Bogsler's Embrace onto Tam, which is fine. But it seems like it's probably better to just get the Pitiless Fist down and hold on to the Embrace, right? I'm going to 10. If they then have another removal for the Shifter, they're hitting me for like 5. I'm getting kind of low. If I trade them at 12, perfectly happy to put a -1/-1 on Tam. Tam's job is to sit there after that. I am worried about using my only unconditional removal, though, that they might play something bigger. So this feels close. I think it's right to take it so that I can Pitiless Fists, but this feels quite close. So I drew the land. So now I also have to decide, do I want a Pitiless Fist or do I want a Taster and Embrace? And given the Graveshifter's a goblin, I think I want a Taster. Now I get to see both their cards. So if they have an instant or sorcery, I can take it and then play it. All right, the safe right's probably going to be better than the farmer. Unfortunately, no instant or sorcery. And then I definitely have to kill Sonar. I'm going to put the -1 on the Graveshifter. I don't think that's close. Taster can trade with Watcher, and the 1/1 Shifter can still trade with Weaver. So we're definitely going to trade the Watcher for the Wear. We'll take a couple points of trample. If we draw well, I'm going to make both trades. If we draw a land, we can play Tam and Pitiless Fist the Wary Farmer. But if, like, not, and I don't even know if we want to do that. We probably don't. We can always just play Tam and Archer and trade the Archer for the Farmer. It's not really, we don't really need to Pitiless Fist the Farmer. Now, there is some upside in killing it while they're tapped, you know, like while they don't have a potential instant removal. And it's not like we can kill a much bigger creature and live, but we kind of want to get this Pitiless Fist on this Brawler. So I think I can take one more hit for 3. So I think the right play is just Tam and Brawler here. This is like kind of a more risky play, but it also has a lot more value. If we get the Pitiless Fist on the Brawler, that could be a 6/4 that must be blocked on future turns, right? That could be a real problem for them depending on what they draw. And I do think Tam is underwhelming. Like, as a rare legend, you would think it's better than it is. But I want to be clear. It's a pretty good card. Like, my opponent just had to feed the Flames my 2-drop on turn 7, right? And that was the correct choice. Like, so, I mean, you know, how many 2-drops do that? So, like, I do want to be clear. Tam is not great. It's like a 5th pick quality card, but it's a card you're happy to play in your deck. And we got the trophy. And so when I say it's a 5th pick quality card, why did I first pick it? Because you can play it in almost any deck. So that means whatever good tribal card I get 2nd or 3rd pick that's passed to me, which is a lot more likely to be open than the tribal card I first picked, I can then go into that tribe. So there's a lot of value in taking a card, like a colorless card, pick one, or a very flexible card, like a blue or green card. You can basically play that card in any deck but goblins, right? Since red, white, and black, white aren't really decks. So I'm not sure if that pick's right, you know, but Tam is solid and very flexible. Obviously, Eclipsed Elf is way, way better in Elves, but, like, Elves just shouldn't be open that often. Like, I'm definitely willing to be one of 2 Elves players. I don't even have to be the only one. But a lot of the time you first pick an Eclipsed elf, it should end up in your sideboard.